All right, guys, today's video is on spraying food plots. Let me start off by saying I am not a big advocate of constantly spraying, and I try to use this as little as possible. I have greatly reduced the number of times I've used it, and this is about to be the first attempt of the year, and hopefully the only one. And because I'm using two different sprays, this is going to take 2 different days due to my time constraints. So today I am focusing on deer vetch, some of the okra, some of the buckwheat, and a little bit of the sun hemp that's in here. Everything else needs to go away, and most of this is just nasty grasses that don't need to be here. There's all kinds of deer vetch growing in here. Deer vetch is like clover, so you can use the same spray you do for clover. So if you need to pause the video there, you can, but that can be used for your clover and your deer vetch plots. I'm going to use a slightly higher dose than what's recommended, because I know the company gives you what to do, and I highly recommend to follow that, but there's sometimes it just depends on how long some of this has been setting on the shelf. And if you buy one with the expiration date maybe not as far along as you like it to be, they tend to decline in strength. And this was the only one that the store had, and it was a little bit closer date than I wanted. So I'm going to raise the level up just a little, not a lot, and make sure I have adequate strength. You don't have to do that. Again, that is just for my purposes. So we're going to eradicate all this out here that is no good. And then due to the fact that this sprayer is a hand pump, I don't have a motorized one anymore. It sprung a leak. So this one's my new one, and I can't use two hands and film at the same time. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to film the spraying, but I'll give you a few tips here. Generally, I start spraying based on wind direction, because I don't have a tractor where I can set up in a cab and stay away from it. I have to manually walk out here and spray the plot. So if the wind is blowing out of the wood line and blowing straight across the field over here, I will start over here and work backwards till I get up the food plot. If the wind is coming from this side blowing up this way, I will start back here and work my way down. I always move in the opposite direction of the wind. You don't want to have a spray contacting you, so you may need to wear a little bit thicker clothing if you need to. Always check to make sure your sprayer doesn't have a leak before you start. I'd hate to get that stuff on me all because I didn't do a simple check. And that's the only reason I knew my motorized one was in trouble. It was this piece right here that sprung a leak. So it was right above where my thumb was sitting. It was right there. And when I sprayed down, I had pure water in it, of course, when I tested it, and it sprayed it right back over my hand. So that's a no-go. And also, I am going to be using 2 different types of spray. Be very careful when you do that. Make sure you thoroughly clean this out after you've used your initial spray that you start with. And then when I come back here tomorrow, because of time constraints, I'm going to tackle that stuff down there and use glyphosate. And I will do a video on that and talk about some glyphosates and the reason why you need to be careful with that. Even though my soybean is Roundup ready, if you don't read the label, something can happen to them. So I'll get into that on the next video. So right now, this is just a short video, and I hope that in the next week or so, this will be nothing but a nice carpet of deer vetch coming up, and some of my other species in here taking over. And maybe I can actually have a good looking plot. This has been a strange growing season this year. Everybody around here is struggling to grow their plots this year. At least based on some of the friends I have in my Facebook group, there are issues with transitioning from spring to summer this year. Everybody's had them, whether it's groundhog damage, which I've killed a grand total of 7 groundhogs now, and I think they're done. So everything can go wrong and everything can go right as you start getting more and more experience under your belt. You're going to learn you're going to have some fantastic growing seasons, and then there's going to be those years where you're just feel like you're fighting a losing battle. So hang on, guys, and I'll put part 2 with this one to lengthen the video a bit. Have a good one. All right, guys, this is part 2 for spraying. In case you haven't noticed, maybe in the color video, you might be seeing some lightening of the colors of the weeds. It's taken me a total of 3 days to do all the spraying I've needed to do. I have been in overdrive at work, and so I finally got enough time to come out here and finish what I needed to do. But there is all kinds of hidden soybean in this food plot. This may look pretty ugly right now, but there is a nice hidden wave of soybean under here. And once this all starts really dying off quickly, that soybean is going to fill these gaps in, and this plot will look totally different. Now, when I sprayed, there's a few strategies I've done here. One is I've allowed the weeds to grow a little larger than normal. One of the reasons I did that was because the soybean is now getting an extra chance to grow taller. I've had issues this year with getting the plot to start because of drought, groundhogs, and other things. So I tried to give this soybean a little bit of a break by allowing all this nasty crap to grow in here and hide some of the soybean. So you can see where some of that didn't get hit by deer yet. Other places have, so it's kind of helped me out here. And now the soybean is showing signs that it's ready to start taking off. So I'm going to go ahead and basically do like the unveiling here and turn loose the soybean and free it up from all these weeds. So I've bought my soybean extra 12 to 13 days, maybe 2 weeks max. And this is really going to help it out when it comes time for it to take over. But there are plenty of weeds I can see literally dying off right now. And this actually puts down more rotting biomass on top of my soil, so I'm going to get a small wave of rot. Now, here's the thing, when I'm spraying, there's all kinds of pros and cons to sprays, but maybe I'll save that for another video. But one of the problems is not every species I have in here is spray resistant species. So the okra, the sun hemp are high candidates to die. All my buckwheat will probably die. If there are any radishes in here, they will also die. So why would I want to spray? I'm actually not concerned at all about losing any buckwheat, because I have all kinds of free seeds sitting in this ugly area over here, and I can simply rebroadcast that in. That's not a problem. Now the sun hemp, I don't want to lose all of this, but I don't have an issue parting ways with some of this because I think I sowed it maybe just a little bit too thick in here, and I'd like to thin some of that out. So I will hit it with spray and kill some of that out. That's not a big problem. So when you do spray, you need to be aware that when you do multiple species, not everything's going to be resistant to spray. So you could kill off a large portion of your food plot and just leave 1 or 2, maybe 3 species, depending on what you plant. Over here, a lot of this is preventative maintenance. I don't want any more dang pigweed in here. And I have done a really good job of really reducing the amount of pigweed I'm seeing in here. All this is starting to show wilt signs now, and it shouldn't be much longer in the next few days. That'll be just totally dead, and none of this has seeded out. So I have killed another seed base of pigweed out of here, and that gets me another step closer to a no spray plot as I try to work on getting toward that direction. So that's my spray video. You can see plenty of soybean. It's hidden in here, and it's about to be unleashed. You can look at how well the okra is doing. That's fantastic. There's some pretty good soybean there. This plot is behind, but it's about to play catch up here. So if you have, oh yeah, I do not want to end the video. Hold on a minute. I need to talk about glyphosate in general. These soybeans that I planted are Roundup ready, but you need to be very careful about what Roundup you pick. Just because it says Roundup doesn't mean that it's going to work. You can actually still kill your plot off. So I want to show you which one I used, and maybe that'll help you out a little bit. Hate to forget that important step. Roundup has many different chemicals in it depending on which one you buy. And the fewer, in my opinion, the better. Some of those chemicals will kill your soybean. So I always look for this one, the purple colored tops. My soybean handles this really well, and it has a very effective kill radius on it. And I've never had an issue with it. So if you need to pause the video to look at that Roundup bottle, by all means do so, but the purple one works the best for me. And hopefully that would work for you as well. All right, guys, that's the end of the spray video. Have a good one.